Continuation. In the interrogation room, Victor sat in silence, his eyes fixed on the table before him. The police officers watched him closely, waiting for him to break his stoic facade and reveal the secrets that lay hidden within his twisted mind. After hours of grueling questioning, Victor finally began to speak, his voice barely above a whisper. With a chilling calmness, he recounted the story of how his dark obsession had taken root, of how he had been drawn down a path of madness and depravity from which there was no turning back. He spoke of the thrill he felt with each kill, the rush of adrenaline that coursed through his veins as he indulged in the forbidden pleasures of cannibalism. He described in gruesome detail the methods he had perfected over the years, the careful planning and meticulous execution that had allowed him to evade capture for so long. But as the interrogation wore on, a sense of unease settled over the room. Despite his willingness to confess his crimes, there was something about Victor that remained elusive, a darkness that lurked just beneath the surface. And as the officers listened to his chilling tales of murder and mayhem, they couldn't help but wonder what other horrors lay hidden in the depths of his twisted psyche. In the end, Victor's story served as a stark reminder of the fragility of the human mind, of the darkness that lurks within us all. And as the interrogation drew to a close, the officers knew that they had finally brought an end to his reign of terror. But they also knew that the scars he had left behind would never truly heal. As the day of reckoning arrived, Victor was led to the execution chamber, his hands bound tightly behind his back. The families of his victims gathered outside, their faces contorted with grief and anger, their eyes burning with a thirst for justice. As Victor stood before them, a sense of grim satisfaction washed over the crowd. They had waited for this moment for so long, dreamed of the day when their tormentor would finally pay for his sins. With a solemn nod from the executioner, the process began. The crowd held their breath as Victor was led to the gallows, his steps slow and measured. There was no trace of fear in his eyes, only a haunting calmness that sent shivers down the spines of those who watched. And then, with a sharp crack, the trapdoor fell away, sending Victor plummeting into the abyss below. The crowd gasped in horror as they watched him swing lifelessly at the end of the rope, his body twisting and turning in the cold morning air. For the families of his victims, it was a moment of closure, a chance to finally put the nightmare of Victor's reign of terror behind them. And as they watched his lifeless body sway in the breeze, they knew that justice had been served. But for Victor, the end was only the beginning. In death, he would be remembered as a monster, a twisted soul whose dark deeds had left a trail of destruction in his wake. And as the crowd dispersed, leaving behind the echoes of their grief and anger, they knew that the memory of Victor's crimes would linger long, and he had been consigned to the annals of history.